It's 3 days to the governorship and House of Assembly elections in Nigeria, and our focus on the show today will be on the Lagos governorship race. Thanks for joining us on the program. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. You can join the conversation live on Twitter with the hashtag TVC Countdown 2023. For 24 years since 2019, the then AD, the Alliance for Democracy, later ACN Action Congress of Nigeria, and now APC, has been in charge of governance in Lagos. But in 2023, there was a scare for the ruling party with the outcome of the February 25th presidential election, where the party narrowly lost the election in the state Labour Party. Although the APC won in 11 local government areas and the Labour Party won in 9, it was trailing behind the relatively new party by 10,555 votes, and the PDP coming a distant third with just about 5% of the total vote cast in Lagos. Come this Saturday, 18 political parties will be jostling to take the reins of power in Lagos. But there are 3 major contenders in this race, with one of them even becoming a bit more popular after the presidential election. In no particular order, we're looking at the incumbent governor, Babajide Sanwo-olu of the APC, Dede Adediran of the PDP, and Gbadebo Rhodes-Vivo of the Labour Party. The president-elect, you recall, whose political base is in Lagos, in his acceptance speech after receiving a certificate of return, promised to run an all-inclusive government with focus on the youth.
You, the people, especially the youth, I will work day and night. I will work to the utmost best of my ability to make Nigeria better. For this to be a victory at all, it cannot simply be a victory for one man or even one party. It must become a victory for all Nigerians who are committed to a greater society. I know many did not vote for me, and you are disappointed that your candidate is not where I stand now. I understand. You hurt. Your anger, disappointment. I extend the embrace and comfort of one family member to another. This great project called Nigeria beckons to us all. It is bigger and more important than any partition divide. To my supporters, I ask you to continue to have faith in the mission that we have articulated. Though those who didn't support me, I ask that you not allow the disappointment of this moment to keep you from realizing the historic national progress we can make by working together.
Is now turned to the millions of young people who did not vote for the ruling party in the presidential election, particularly here in Lagos, where there are some 17 candidates who wants Governor Sanwo-olu's seat. Well, this is what we know about Lagos' current governor. Babajide Sanwo-olu was born on the 25th of June, 1968, a Nigerian politician who became governor on the platform of the All Progressives Congress after contesting and winning the governorship primaries against the incumbent governor, Akinwumi Ambode of Lagos, in October 2019. As a graduate of the University of Lagos, as well as the London Business School, Lagos Business School, and the John F. Kennedy School of Government. Before his governorship ambition, he was the managing director and CEO of Lagos State Property Development Corporation. He began his political career in 2003 when he was appointed a special advisor on corporate matters to the then Deputy Governor of Lagos State, Femi Pedro. After the general elections of 2007, he was appointed Commissioner for Establishments, Training and Pensions by Governor Babatunde Fashola, and was also made Managing Director and CEO of the Lagos State Development and Property Corporation by Governor Akinwumi Ambode in 2016. There's a lot to talk about. For instance, if you consider the lag bus system and the control and command center in Alausa Ikeja, which were subsequently established under its directives. For the first time, Lagos State has produced the President-elect Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But the question is, what happens to his home state? When he was governor, there was a totally different party at the center. Joining me after this short break is the national youth leader of the All Progressives Congress, Dayo Israel, who will be answering the question whether SanwoOlu can win this election on Saturday. You're watching the countdown. The national youth leader of the APC is back in Lagos for the Lagos governorship election. Dayo Israel, thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much, my brother.
The last time I saw you, you were not national youth leader. And in addition to you have a president in waiting for your party.
For the first time from Lagos.
Absolutely.
Ogun has produced about 2 or so to a president.
Indeed.
Yes.
Well, so it's the first time since 2015 that your party will be losing the presidential election in Lagos, particularly in an election where your principal, a former Lagos State governor, was a contender. President Buhari had conveniently won in 2015 and 2019. Now, we've heard a lot of reasons for this. Some say it's apathy on the part of your party supporters, the fact that some members are aggrieved. Are you surprised about how it turned out in Lagos? And has your party been able to identify what really happened?
So I think it's first important, thank you for having me on the show. I think it's first important to clarify that, yes, we had lesser number than the opposition, the Labour Party, but I don't think that our party also did woefully. Because if you look at the result, it was only about 10,000. Yeah, 10,000 is a lot of vote, but you know it would not be
if
fair.
That was a governorship election.
Yes, of course, that was a governorship election.
It would have been enough to win.
It would have been enough to win the seat. But I would say that it's the beauty of democracy. But at the same time, it's also the fact that a lot of our people, I believe, at that period took things for granted. A lot of people believe that Asiwaju is on the ballot, and that there was that apathy sort of to say that we don't have a problem. Asiwaju will solve. It's Asiwaju anyway. And I think one of the things that we've tried to emphasize on after the election is to say that even though it's Asiwaju anyway or it's Lagos, if you don't come out to vote, every vote matters. And every vote is important, and you have to. And a lot of people and say, "Oh, you know what? We know who's going to win now. Oh, we're going to win." We're going to win is not going to give us the vote. You've got to come out on Saturday, 11th of March, and deliver for Babajide Sanwo-olu at this time. So what happened was a lot of our people were a bit relaxed because we believed so much that it was Asiwaju, we didn't have a problem. But also another challenge was also that the mood of the country was enough for people to sit back at home and just be like, you know what do we want to do? But in the long run, 570,000 people came out to vote for the APC. Like 582 also voted for the party. So, you know, that's why we're focusing on making sure that people actually come out and, you know, exercise their fundamental human right. And we can say that by the grace of God, we believe very strongly that the turnout on Saturday, in particular for Babajide Sanwo-olu, is going to be amazing and unimaginable. So if anybody thought that what happened last week was going to repeat itself, is in for a big, wild joke.
But what we're hearing is different. We're hearing how the result has unsettled the ranks of your party in the state. Party stakeholders like yourself are now out on the streets, door-to-door campaigns to canvass votes for your candidate. Would you say that the APC is in panic mode ahead of Saturday?
Only someone who wasn't in Lagos will say that our door-to-door campaign and advocacy is strange. It's been the way that we campaign anyway. I remember in 2019, Babajide Sanwo-olu, our governor today, was in Computer Village, was actually going to Mechanic Village to do some work, was going to Barbing Salon to cut hairs for people. Sanwo-olu has always taken campaign and mobilization aggressively. What has only happened in this election was that Lagos was focusing on the center. So that also took away our attention from back home. Mr. Governor is a grassroots person. Look at what he did in 2019. It was literally in everybody's face. He was at phone booths, he was at game centers, he was everything. It's been the style in Lagos, in particular for, not just even for APC, for Jide Sanwo-olu is being a grassroots person. He did that in 2019. As a matter of fact, he did more in 2019 in grassroots engagement during the election than he has done. And the reason for that is because he also believes that the things that we have done should also speak for us. For example, look at the infrastructural development. The Blue Line is going to start operating soon. It's already at completion. We've been able to complete the bridge from Agege to, I think it's Okoba, what's happening, Obagunji Road to Agege. He's been able to begin work on the Freedom Way, Regional Road and the Coastal Road on the island. He's been able to build more schools and renovate. I remember his second year anniversary. I was still at Subeb then. We had launched 1,097 projects in schools in Lagos State, primary and secondary schools. Many local government have new buildings or renovated buildings. There's no community in Lagos that Sanwo-olu's work has not impacted. So, of course, it's also easy to take for granted the fact that
exactly
his
my
work
point,
is speaking.
because I have heard some people say perhaps your party was overconfident, and perhaps that was why the governor did not attend the debate that saw the contenders in the weeks prior to that election. But have you also heard about the possible collaboration between the PDP and the Labour Party? If you had added their figures in the presidential election, that's some margin. Is that a bother for the APC?
So I wouldn't, before I go into the whole idea about merger, I will first say that I wouldn't say that the governor was overconfident. I think he was also confident enough in the work that he has done, because over the last 4 years, Jide Sanwo-olu has focused a lot on improving the lives of people. He's a very good person who has also ensured that, I've had a lot of encounters that makes me even fall in love with the man. I remember in particular, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, I don't know if you'll give me the liberty to tell this story, and it was his birthday, but we're just coming out of COVID, and some people had planned to do an event for him and for his birthday, and he wasn't aware of that. And so a lot of people showed up wanting to do a birthday for him. And he called his closest eight behind the doors and I said, what's going on? Why are you guys putting a party to me? This is not the mood of the country. He said, this is a position of humility. We cannot be doing this. And that gave me a deeper respect for him as a man who really genuinely cares about the people. He made a statement and said, this is a position of authority. Another experience I will never forget about him, being a good and a kind-hearted man who always thinks about his people. And when we were doing the transition committee, some people brought a bill for him. And, after we had a few days to the election, the Friday before the inauguration in 2019, and somebody had said, I want people here to check this over. Have you paid them? And they said, yes, they brought a bill of 7 million. I told them to cut it down. He said, no, don't cut it down now. I want to ask jail. They too would eat. You see instances of those little by little that makes, you may not take advantage, but if you look at them, you know that this person has the interest. And those are the works that inspires. Now, let me talk about the supposed merger. I think one of the candidates for one of the parties, the PDP, has come and said it's not even possible for them to merge. And no matter what you merge, the people of Lagos are wise enough not to hand over the destiny of this great state to people who are unprepared, who have no experience, and who are not ready to be able to lead a country like Lagos. I didn't say a city like Lagos.
I hope you can
country
agree
like
with
Lagos.
me that for some young people, it's just about changing the status quo. They just want APC and PDP out of the way. They want something new, if you follow the mood online. But very quickly, let's talk about some of your comments on social media and the interpretation they're getting online. You have been accused of a lot of things, but I have 3 of them written here. Number 1, whipping up ethnic sentiments. Some say you've accused... I think it was your Yoruba Ronu tweet that we're not talking about. Some say you have accused some of your party men in Lagos of not working for Asiwaju, and that you've also now threatening appointees of government who do not deliver not to return to Alausa. Which of these are you willing to take responsibility?
I'm standing by all of them. And I'll begin from the first one, Yoruba Ronu. I have tweeted that statement to say that as we go into election, the people of the Western region who are producing the president must think as they go into that election. It's not about ethnic bigotry or anything. As a matter of fact, the people who have accused me are worse. Look at the election result there. They have not said to themselves, they have acted bigotry. You would not find our candidate or any other candidate in the north winning election, not even up to 10,000 votes in the southeast. Yet they have taken 90%. Yet their candidates are having the same result in the south. So it's not about bigotry. It's a Yoruba proverb to say Yoruba Ronu. I said the same thing about a year ago when we're going to the primaries election. And they came to us and said that somebody had been endorsed to become the candidate of our party unanimously. And I came out and I said, the elders of the Southwest region must come together. I said, go and check that tweet. I think it was June 6, 2022. That all the South. Why? Because it's fear that we say power return to the South.
The concern really, Dayo Israel, is how polarized and how sensitive these issues have become. For instance, the Constitution requires that beyond simple majority, you get at least 25% into thought. It applies also to the governorship election.
Yes.
The idea is such that not a region of an entity determines who becomes, governor.
Absolutely.
Lagos, for instance, has been known for opening its arms wide to every ethnicity.
Absolutely.
So some would say, given how ethnically sensitive this election has been, that perhaps you shouldn't have made such a statement like that.
If I have to go back into history, that in 1973, if I'm correct, Obafemi Awolowo, a Yoruba man, ran for president, and he didn't get it because they worked against him. And in 1993, another Yoruba man ran for president, Chief MKO Abiola, and we have another chance 30 years later to produce a president, which we have done, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I think it will not be out of place for me to say to the people of my region, to say, please think deeply. And if you need to go and align with anybody, go and align. If you need to go and beg anybody, go and beg. But that's the first one. The second one was the tweet about saying that I am calling on all political appointees in Lagos State who do not deliver their polling unit on the 11th, not to bother coming
What does
on
that
the
mean?
13th. I'll tell you why. First, with all sense of humility, I'm a leader of the party in Lagos State, the highest ranking party official as a national officer of the party in Lagos. So when I sit in the NWC in Abuja, they raise conversations about what are you people doing in Lagos. So if I, at my own little column, cannot speak to my people, there's no town hall which gives me the advantage to say that, or a single WhatsApp who can speak to say we appointees are appointed into the government to promote the party's interest manifesto through the government in the administration. It is an APC administration of Babajide Sanwo-olu. When you go to the ballot box, you vote for APC. So when you are not effective in your local government, when you don't deliver the good service to the people in your community, they don't blame you alone, they blame the APC. That's why you talked earlier when you said that the party, people don't want to vote for a party. No, the party is not an individual. The party is a coalition of the people that it represents. So if you have someone who is effective there, they will say the party is good. Why? Because the person is good. So if you're a political appointee in that administration, either you are SSA or an SC or you are a technical assistant or whatever you may be, you have a duty to also reflect the success of that administration in your community. And so all I had said as a party representative is that if you are an appointee of our party in the government, you don't just have a duty to do your job. You also have a duty to promote the party in your community through your impact.
And you are being optimistic that 2 weeks will be enough for these appointees to do what they did, what they could not do on the 25th of February.
So let me also say to you that it's not that also that our people are not doing work. Many of them are doing work. But it's just to energize our base, to say, you know what, you've got to sit up. We have an election to deliver the governor. Because between you and I, if the governor does not get re-elected, every so-called appointee you're talking about does not get a job again in the next administration.
We have just about 5 more minutes, Dayo Israel. Let's talk about how this election will be won and lost. There are certain local governments that decide the eventual winner in Lagos. Alimosho, Ikorodu, Mushin. And these are places that you have gone to. Perhaps you've heard the grievances of the people as well and why they didn't, turn out well in the last election. But let's talk particularly about the opposition stronghold, what we saw happen on the 25th, in places like Amuwo, Dofin, Etiosa. Do you think the residents can be convinced to vote otherwise on Saturday?
I believe that a lot of them are changing their minds and they're going to vote for Babajide Sanwo-olu. The reason is because they've seen the good work that he has done. Phenomenal work. The APC administration in Lagos, from Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is now our next president, and all the successive governors in Lagos have always built on that foundation of getting to a mega city. Lagos, a center of excellence. And you see the improvement. That's why people come into Lagos in their thousands every day. And so long and short is that millions of people voted on the 25th out of sentiment. As a matter of fact, out of the sentiment for tribe. So when people say that, you're a bigot, you should actually look at their own action. People were voting on the 25th based on their tribe, not based on capacity. And that's what happened in Etiosa local government. Everybody voted for this particular party just because they wanted to vote a protest vote against both the APC and even the man they wanted there, which largely people said it was Banky W that most of the youth wanted in there. They had finished voting based on that sentiment for somebody who didn't even campaign, who they didn't know.
Well, to say he didn't campaign.
No, but that's what they said, allegedly.
I've heard people say, well, we know him. Maybe he wasn't as popular as the others, but, Labour Party members, for instance, should know who the candidate was.
But a lot of the young people are saying that wasn't their plan. So what I'm saying in essence is people are now beginning to realize that it's beyond tribes or sentiment. We even now have Yorubas on the ballot. But it's about competence and capacity. And when you're talking about competence and capacity, Babajide Sanwo-olu has been a manager, a senior manager in a bank. He's worked in the private sector. He's been SA and commissioner in Lagos State. He was MD of LSDPC. So he has experiences across sector, across the real estate, across the private sector, even on the public sector, different ministries where he has operated and worked. So you have that kind of leadership who understand Lagos and what makes Lagos work. Compare that to somebody who's just coming to come and do IT, who's going to take almost 8 years to even have an idea of how Lagos system works. So people understand that Babajide Sanwo-olu has been genuine in what he's doing. Look at how he handled COVID, for example. He communicated to Lagos every step of the way. He was able to build more isolation centers. He was able to carry Lagosians along. He was able to introduce palliative systems and also other systems to provide succor to the people of Lagos. And so people will not jeopardize a man who genuinely cares about them, who is humane enough to think about the interest, to come and try other people who are coming to do IT in government house.
One more thing I would like us to explore before you go is the challenge of intimidation of voters that have been widely reported in the presidential election. Some people come to polling units and say, if you're not voting this party, you are not allowed to vote here. If you do not belong to this ethnicity, you are not allowed here. I mean, that is dangerous for our democracy. Do you agree? I
agree that the intimidation of voters, in particular by the people that is called obedient on Twitter, on social media, who do not align with you just because you don't believe in their candidate, who would abuse you and insult you and call you names and insult you with barrage of different, things that you cannot even hear of. I think that must stop. People have a right.
Are you only correcting the issue with the obedience? What about the people of your own party?
People have a right to choose their candidate and they should be allowed to so do. The period where you begin to intimidate people, you don't allow them to express who they want to vote for, and anybody you see want to vote for somebody that is not your candidate, you harass and insult them, must be allowed to stop. Then we can begin to talk about other things.
So if I allow you to take a guess as to how it will go this Saturday, what would you say? as regards the governorship
I've already
election?
bought my fruit wine that I'm going to use to celebrate the victory of Mr. Babajide Sanwo-olu. I think he's one of the best governors in modern Nigeria. Very simple man, but very efficient with dynamic experience. And I'm urging all Lagosians to go and vote for APC and Jide Sanwo-olu on Saturday by the grace of the Almighty.
When APC lost during the presidential election, we had the president-elect say...
No, we didn't lose during the presidential election.
In Lagos?
Oh, yes. So clear it well.
No. I was coming there. The president-elect said we'll win some.
Yes.
We'll lose some.
Yes.
And he was calling for calm amongst the people. Well, no, we accept the result of this election. Let's move on. If your party doesn't win this Saturday, would you, give the same disposition like the president-elect?
I have no doubt that the grace of the Almighty God and for the work that the progressives have put into this election, in particular the work that is being done over the last 1 week, that we're going to win this election massively. It would be like a dream because we would win everywhere than they can ever imagine by the grace of the Almighty.
I'm sure you'll return after the election and then we'll have
confidence in victory.
We'll continue this conversation. National Youth Leader of the All Progressives Congress, Dayo Israel, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you for having me.
We hope to bring other party representatives tomorrow and next, but we'll also continue this conversation as we count down to the governorship and House of Assembly election. That's our program for today. Remember, you can watch a repeat broadcast tomorrow at 6 a.m. Follow us on all of our social media handles using the hashtag TVC Countdown 2023. I'm Nifemi Ogutoye. I'll be back at the top of the hour with stories making headlines.